Welcome to Whispers of Turkish Stars, your backstage pass to the most intimate and surprising moments in Turkish showbiz. Before we unravel this story that feels like it leapt from a romance script into real life, remember to subscribe, tap like, and consider joining to unlock exclusive behind-the-scenes treats. What you're about to hear isn't rumor anymore, it's the kind of revelation that makes even seasoned fans catch their breath. Few series have cast a spell like Consisekleri. The show didn't simply win ratings, it created a ritual, a weekly pause when living rooms quieted and hearts leaned in. At the center of it all are two faces you know well, Yağmur Yüksel as the brave and steadfast Dylan, and Barış Baktas as Baron, the storm-eyed soul wrestling with destiny. Their scenes together landed like thunder, followed by a hush, the kind of chemistry that audiences talk about for days. It wasn't just the pauses, the looks, the careful way each word was delivered. It was a rhythm that felt instinctive, as if they had been rehearsing for this connection their whole lives. Viewers sensed it, celebrated it, and wondered quietly, could what they were witnessing be more than fiction? From the very first episodes, whispers flickered across interviews and public appearances. A glance that lingered a heartbeat too long. Private smiles pressed between questions. Tiny exchanges that only the most attentive fans noticed. Hands brushing as they passed a microphone, eyes finding each other while someone else spoke. Off camera, rumors grew from fragments, a shared coffee during a break, a sudden burst of laughter outside a dressing room, the kind of silence that tells 1,000 truths. Crew members stayed discreet, but even they couldn't keep the warmth from seeping into the edges of the frame. The fandom took those sparks and turned them into hope. Then, a few weeks ago, everything changed. Images started surfacing, not staged, not polished, but luminous in their sincerity. The first photo captured Yağmur and Barış beneath an arch traced with soft lights. The setting was intimate, the crowd small enough to feel like a heartbeat, and the moment felt untouched by the noise of the outside world. They weren't playing Dylan and Baron, they were simply themselves, gazes steady, hands entwined, rings prepared for a promise only two people can truly understand. In one shot, Yağmur stands in a dress the color of ivory foam, simple and graceful, her bouquet a hush of pale pink roses that look like first light. Beside her, Barış wears a deep blue suit, classic and composed, the shade highlighting the warmth in his expression. Another frame shows him sliding a ring onto her finger as a wave of applause swells around them. Smiles bloom everywhere. Parents leaning forward, friends clutching one another's hands, the soft clink of glasses meeting in celebration that's almost audible even through the images. There's a photo of them hugging their parents, eyes wet, laughter breaking through the emotion. There's a cake crowned with their initials, clean and elegant, as if even the sugar understood the importance of restraint. For those who had shipped them since that first electric stare on Consisekleri, it felt like the storyline of a lifetime had finally stepped into daylight. Dylan and Baron, who had weathered storms on screen, were finding a quiet harbor off-screen too. The reveal didn't feel like a press move, it felt like an answered wish. Those close to the production gently confirmed what many suspected. Yağmur and Barış had been together for more than a year, choosing the stealth of separate arrivals on set and carefully avoiding public displays that might overshadow their work. No grand gestures for the cameras, no strategic leaks, just a real relationship cocooned within the chaos of shooting schedules, lines to memorize, and early call times. Friends describe a bond built on friendship first, dinners in, where conversation is the real feast. Walking side by side during short breaks, letting the day slide off their shoulders, reading scenes aloud until late, polishing the cadence of the words yet keeping the heart unpolished and true. You can hear it when colleagues talk about them, the respect, the patience, a partnership that knows when to speak and when to simply be present. The engagement itself unfolded in a family home on the Asian side of Istanbul, a place that holds memories inside its walls and welcomes new ones with open arms. White flowers lined the space, their scent light and comforting. Candles threw a soft glow across faces and photographs, tugging everything into the same, tenderly lit frame. Somewhere out of sight, a violin played a melody with no need for lyrics. There was no red carpet, no hotel lobby dripping with crystal and echo. It wasn't about grandeur. It was about breathing, about letting the significance of the moment rise naturally in a circle of love. In a brief speech, Barış thanked Yağmur for being the steady hand at his shoulder during their most demanding days on set, his voice catching just enough to remind everyone, this isn't performance, this is devotion. Even behind cameras, people admit it brought a lump to the throat. Once the photos slipped into the public eye, the internet did what it does when it finds a story it wants to celebrate. Hashtags like #Yağmur and Barış engaged and #Cansasekleri couple took off, ricocheting through timelines and For You pages across the Middle East, Spain, and Latin America. Edits flooded in, fans cut together smoldering scenes from Cansasekleri arguments turned confessions, tears turned smiles, and paired them with the soft certainty of the engagement pictures. Views climbed by the hundreds of thousands, then more. Under all this joy, thoughtful voices rose as well, asking for kindness. Let them have this, let them breathe, let love be safe even when it belongs to two people who live in the spotlight. Despite the noise, the couple remains steady. This milestone hasn't pulled them off their individual paths. Sources say Barış is considering a historical project, drawn by the challenge of wearing a new time, a new language of gesture, a different kind of fire. He's been meeting with directors who value stillness as much as spectacle, and the timing suggests a role that could redefine how audiences see him. Yağmur, meanwhile, has her eyes set beyond borders. International collaborations whisper possibilities. Scripts arriving in sleek envelopes, meetings in quiet cafes, dialogues that stretch across languages. They both hinted that they're not eager to work together again immediately, not because they fear the work, but because they love the work too much. They don't want their real story to be flattened into branding. The sacred should remain sacred. Industry watchers have their say, of course. Many believe that this engagement deepens the emotional current that already runs through Cansasekleri. Fans who start a new series looking for heart will find themselves drawn to the one where the heart was real all along. The line between story and life didn't blur, it became a mirror. And yet, those who know the business also point out something else: this is rare. In an environment where headlines are often written in the language of scandal, it's startling and restorative to see two people choose gentleness, privacy, and family. It resets expectations. It reminds everyone why they fell in love with storytelling in the first place. Think about the path that led here. The first table reads, where the room is crowded with possibility. The day they shot a difficult scene and left exhausted but lighter, because they'd carried the weight together. The long evenings when they talked through motivations, letting the characters teach them something about themselves. The laughter that spills out when a line misfires, when an off-cue door closes, when the lights take a minute too long to rise. These are the fibers of a connection, not glittering events, but the quiet moments that knit two lives into one rhythm. Dylan needed courage, Baron needed grounding, somewhere in the middle, Yağmur and Barış found exactly what they each were missing. The engagement night kept drawing eyes for its elegance precisely because it refused spectacle. There's a photograph in which you can see them listening, not to each other this time, but to family. Parents taking turns to speak, a sibling's teasing blessing, a friend's clumsy toast that ends up perfect. The space is lit like a secret told only once. A violin line floats, the candles drift low, and you can almost feel the city outside continuing with its noise while this room insists on being still. Traditions matter here, but not as performance, they matter because they bind everyone to something bigger than the moment. The rings aren't props. They're promises. Skeptics will ask their questions. Was this planned? Was it timed? Was it the machinery of fame at work? But look closely at the photos and you'll see the kind of details that can't be calibrated: the imprint of a thumb on a cuff, the tilt of a shoulder leaning in, a tear that's not wiped away quickly enough. When Barış spoke, he didn't sound like an actor with a perfect line, he sounded like someone grateful for refuge. When Yağmur smiled, it wasn't for a camera, it was for him. The truth of a moment sits in these tiny places. Meanwhile, the fan community continues to celebrate with a kind of artistry that feels like a tribute. Edits include footage from foreign broadcasts, lovingly subtitled, threads share memories of the first time viewers noticed that look, photos from the set gain new meaning, reframed through this revelation. And as happens with stories that resonate, the language becomes universal. You don't need to understand every word to understand the feeling. You just need to see the way two people stand when they've chosen to stand together. Will they hurry toward the aisle or take their time? Nobody knows, and that's as it should be. They've never been in a rush to make their private world public, and they won't start now. What they've offered is enough, a glimpse, a confirmation, a shared joy that belongs to them first, to everyone else second. Their focus, for the moment, remains on craft. The set still demands early mornings and late nights. Scripts still arrive with corners curled. New characters ask to be understood, to be respected. And beyond all that, there's a home to return to, where the conversation doesn't need applause. In a landscape often shaken by breakups announced at midnight and reconciliations sealed in trending posts, this story cuts through with something that feels beautifully old-fashioned. It says love can grow softly even when the world is loud. It says partnership can protect rather than consume. It says two actors can give their audience everything in the scene and still protect the life that begins once the lights cut. So here we are, living in a moment where reality managed to rise higher than fiction, not by breathing fire, but by keeping the flame steady. The journey of Yağmur Yüksel and Barış Baktas, from the set of Consekleri to a promise sealed beneath a gentle arch, has given fans a rare narrative in an industry that usually tells different kinds of tales. It's an affirmation that sometimes the best twist is the simplest one, the happy ending that doesn't end, but begins. What about you? Did you see this coming from the earliest press junkets, or did the news catch you the way it did so many, heart racing, smile blooming, eyes searching for the next photo? Has their connection made Consekleri mean something deeper to you, a piece of fiction that now hums with real-life resonance? Tell us what you felt when those pictures first appeared, and who you'd like us to spotlight in upcoming videos. Your comments shape the stories we tell next. Don't forget to subscribe, hit like, and click join if you want access to special content and early drops. We'll be back soon with more from the heart of Turkish entertainment, fresh whispers, tender truths, and the moments that turn stars into stories you carry with you. Until next time, stay close. The most beautiful revelations often arrive when you're listening.